One of the very first mods I did to my tractor was to add these LED lights on the ROPS. Beginning with this main front light and the two rear work lights was the first part of my project. But they did leave me blind spots on the sides, which is why later on I added these side lights to allow me a 360-degree view when I'm working into the evening. And that's really been handy. Later in the video I'll show you what these lights can do at night. But first I'll go through how I selected the lights that I did and how I went about mounting them and how I went about wiring them in.
First, you need a power source for the lights. Fortunately, there is often one readily available from the work light connection available on many tractors. In the case of the Kubota L-Series tractors, this connection is found under the left rear tire fender, near the connection for the tail lights. This is the work light connector. It is only energized when the start switch is on or the tractor is running. It is fused at 10 amps, so the combined amperage of your lights should be less than this. If you need more than this, I'll show you in the next video in this series how to add an additional fuse box for power accessories, which I had to do when I added my side lights. The yellow wire is positive, and the black wire with the yellow stripe is negative. By the way, this is the location of the work light fuse in the factory fuse box. This is a basic wiring diagram for the front light bar and two rear lights powered from the tractor's work light connection. The two rear lights are wired in parallel. And this is a wiring diagram for the front, side, and rear lights, powered by the 6-fuse auxiliary fuse block I installed so that I could feed other accessories and provide more amps for my work lights. The two side lights are wired in parallel with the front light bar, so they are turned on with the same switch. In the basic work light setup, the work light connection went to my switch box, which is mounted behind my speed range lever. This box is just a small plastic project box I had laying around for years. It is held on using the rear bolt of the speed range lever plate. Here's a look with the box removed. The wiring enters the bottom of the box through an existing slot in the speed range lever plate. You could mount your switches directly to the speed range lever plate, but I wanted better protection for the switches and wiring. The wiring leaves the switch box and is protected by 3/8" split nylon wire loom tubing, strapped to the ROPS with UV-resistant tie wraps. Notice the wire looms run on the back side of the ROPS hinge bolt. This ensures there's enough slack to allow the ROPS to fold down without stretching the wires. Connections to the lights are made with 2-pin waterproof electrical connectors I bought on Amazon. A full materials list with links will be available on my website in the companion page to this video. A link to that page is in the description. Now to wire all this up, I bought a wiring harness kit from Amazon. However, I didn't use it as is. Instead, I cut it up and used the switches and wires per the diagrams I showed earlier. I used the relay that came with the harness and the auxiliary fuse block I added when I added the side lights. For the front light, I chose a 14-inch light bar. It has a combination of spotlights and floodlight LEDs. It draws 72 watts or 6 amps at 12 volts. It produces 4,790 lumens, which is very bright, as you will see. Finally, it has an IP67 waterproof rating. However, I strongly suggest running a bead of pure silicone caulk around the edges of the lens and also where the wires go into the light. The side and rear lights are 4-inch LED light bars with 6 floodlight LEDs. They draw 18 watts each, or 1.5 amps at 12 volts. Each one produces 1,260 lumens. They are also IP67 rated. Again, I put a bead of silicone caulk around the lens and where the wire goes into the light. Now let's look at how I mounted the lights. The front and rear lights are mounted to the top of the ROPS with 2 U-bolts and 2 1-inch by 1/8 inch thick steel bar pieces cut to 8.5 inches long. The U-bolts are spaced according to the mounting requirements of the front light bar. The length of the steel pieces can vary according to your needs and choice of lights. You can get this bar stock at hardware stores in various lengths. I drilled holes for the U-bolts and holes on the ends for the lights to attach to, and I used a rotary grinder to round off the edges. Finally, I painted the steel bars black. Each side light is mounted to the ROPS with 2 U-bolts and a 4.9 inch by 3 inch corner brace. To protect the ROPS, I added heat shrink tubing to the back of the U-bolts and cut a piece of rubber sheeting to go between the corner brace and the ROPS. Here's a look at the parts before assembly. I drilled holes in the corner of the braces for the U-bolts. Then I drilled an offset hole for the light to mount to. Here are the light assemblies before I mounted them to the ROPS. I wired the lights so that the blue switch turns on both the front and side lights. The red switch turns on the rear lights. Now you're about to find out why ROPS LED lights are so great to have. I'm driving the tractor out to the pasture using the regular headlights. You can see I already have an issue with the front end loader blocking a lot of the light when raised to travel height. Here's what it looks like from my handheld camera. First, this is low beam and high beam with the headlights. I have limited sight distance in the front and nothing to the sides. Now with just the front and side LED lights on, notice how much more light I have not only in the front but to the sides as well. Here's a look at the rear lights from the ROPS camera view. Now from the handheld camera view. This is plenty of light for me to operate the backhoe at night or keep an eye on an implement I'm using on the 3-point. The difference with these lights is literally night and day.
So I hope you found this video useful in figuring out how you're going to mount your lights to your tractor. So if you've enjoyed this video, please take time to click that like button, leave a comment below, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching.